Welcome everybody to the Port Orleans to Disney Springs relaxing boat ride. Now today my name is Jessica Lynn and I am going to be your tour guide. Super excited for this boat tour. So the first place we're going to be leaving is from French Quarter. That's part of the riverside, and you can see on the right hand side there all of the buildings have different feels to them. So each one in between all of them have a area where you can go and run around and play, and each one is themed to different areas actually in New Orleans. It's an absolutely beautiful resort. It is very spread out, so know that if you don't want to do a ton of extra walking at the night, or you prefer to have a hotel with a lobby, that's probably going to be a hotel that you may not want to think about. It is absolutely beautiful though, and there are beignets in the morning if you like that. There is a lot of fun things to actually do at this resort. There's fishing and there's carriage rides. It is connected to Riverside, which is the old Dixie landings back in the day. And the nice part is this boat ride that we're on right now, it is actually a connector between those two hotels as well as Disney Springs. So if you enjoy going to the nightlife at Disney Springs, going shopping, going to the Cirque show, this is definitely a good place to stay. The boats themselves, they run about every half an hour, a little bit less, and it does take almost 18 minutes to get to whichever location you're going to. So if you are going to Disney Springs, this will take us about 18 minutes. Now, some of the nice things that you're going to see here is that this is such a beautiful piece of land. Lots of natural trees and grass, and I really enjoy being able to see that natural Florida feel. It's called the Sassagoula River Cruise, and what's really nice about it is that basically it's a very alternative and relaxing way to get back and forth without having to ride on a bus, etc. Each one of the boats are named different names, so there's 15 different boats, and different flags mean different things. So for example, the yellow and purple flags depart from Disney Springs, and they will go to the Port Orleans Riverside, which is yellow flags, and the French Quarter, which are the purple flags. Now, you might see two other boats there as well. There is also blue flags, and those flags are going to take you to Disney Sarasota Springs, as well as the Treehouse Villas. The green flags will take you to Old Key West, and the red flags are an internal Disney taxi, so a lot of times they might have different employees on those. Typically they'll run from about 10 in the morning till 11 p.m. Or as late as 11:30, just depends. But if for some reason the boats aren't running, they do have a free shuttle service that operates between 8 a.m. and 2 a.m. and it picks up at both resorts and then at the landing bus station, so which is right over behind Planet Hollywood. So in this area, now when I was younger, you used to be able to rent the water sprites, those little mice boats or whatever they're called now, and we could actually cruise around on those. They also had smaller 4-person boats, and I remember when I had just graduated high school, we rented them, and I did a very similar ride through where I felt like I was a tour guide. It was so much fun. So I'd be like, ladies and gentlemen, if you look to your right, you will see a tree. And then I would gun the engine like, right? It was really fun. So apparently in my younger days, I guess I wanted to be a Jungle Cruise skipper, right? Because I really enjoyed that whole, like after you would give the whole, like, there's some moss. So the other thing that I really like about this area is that it's very Florida, right? So I mean, there's lots of natural trees. There were a lot of critters, more than I think I've seen in a long time. And one of the things I've always wanted to do was stay in those tree houses, so that's kind of on my wish list. The tree houses are actually right on this river, and we're going to see them in just a few moments. There's also, they used to have classes, and I can't remember what it was called. I'm gonna have to look it up here. the treehouse villas, we're going to see them again in just a moment. I would have never expected this. So there are actually 60 of them, and they are back from the debut in 1975. They were part of the Lake Buena Vista, and they were used for community, but they never kind of came to fruition. And so at one point, they offered something called the Disney Institute, and I always wanted to go to that. So those right there, those are the tree houses, and you can see you have a view right there of the boats on the water. And I think they're pretty cool. They actually have a place where you can grill out and stuff. So if you really want like a different kind of a trip, like a camping but not quite camping, that might be a... It's not quite glamping either, although they're really nice. So maybe. Now, the Disney Institute was something I always wanted to do, and they used to have that when I was younger. And I remember they offered like week-long excursion adventures where it was not like what you would see for Galaxy's Edge kind of thing, or like for any of these, you know, like the Wish, the boats, whatever. It was a week-long excursion where you went to the old Key West, and for 1 week, all you did was work on animation. So they taught you how to animate, how to draw. They worked with you to build up your skills. I mean, it was such an interesting concept. And at that point, Disney was actually still at MGM Studios, or Hollywood Studios. They were still doing all of the animation in-house. And I can't, one of those things, every time I go to Hollywood Studios, I can't help but call it MGM, because I can still vividly remember the animation building. And as you know, I am an artist, and I love to create and draw. And when I was younger, that was actually one of my dreams, was to become a Disney animator. I always thought it would be the most amazing job in the world. And around that time was when they used to have all of the animation in-house. And I remember as a kid going there and sitting on the ground with the glass. And where it is now is the Star Wars docking bay, which is where you can go meet Chewbacca and all of that. And it's funny because it's at two different levels, and when you're up above, that actually used to be where you looked down, almost like a zoo, on the animators. But I remember that it was just the most overwhelming and exciting moment I have ever had in one of my most exciting moments in my life. I mean, I've had obviously others since then. I have 2 girls and I'm married. But I remember as a kid being so inspired by watching these artists, and they were sitting there drawing. And I remember watching them draw The Lion King, and I believe it was Pocahontas at one point. And I want to say, I think we saw Tangled as well. But there was a lot of things that were all being hand-drawn, and so you'd see the person literally sketch it out, and it was so beautiful. And so at that Disney Institute, you would go and meet with those people, and they would teach you how to draw and work with you. And they also did other ones for like business and coaching, and it was just such a fun idea. I'm going to guess it probably didn't go too far because people on vacation didn't want to go work for another week. You know, but I always wanted to do it, but yeah, there was a certain age, and I wasn't at that age at that point to be able to do it. So right now, the way that this works, we kind of hit an area in this river where all the boats sort of converged, and when this happens, you're kind of stuck. And so it depends on how many boats come through at that time, how fast the wake is, and the wake is how fast the water is moving. Like if they went through too fast, you might have big waves. And so we got stuck sitting for just a moment, but it was okay. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. It was a beautiful sunny day. I mean, I can only imagine if it was raining. There is cover over top, but the water could get in if it was raining a certain direction. But it was a beautiful sunny day, and it was just nice to be out and sort of boating and not having, you know, the stress of being on the buses or anything like that. But when you hit this point, that's where you kind of have to wait. So it could add a little time. So if you are waiting for a dinner reservation, or you are running late for a show at the Cirque, I wouldn't encourage you to take the boat. I would probably take something faster. Only because if it was at a certain time, I would hate for you to get stuck. The waterway is very calm and relaxing, and it's really not meant for, okay, we have 10 minutes, we have to get there, because you won't make it, right? I mean, it took about 18 minutes. It could have taken a little less, but You can see these boats right there. There's one of the big pontoon kind of boats. Super fun, and a lot of them were running, so it was really nice to see them, you know, clipping around to be able to get people back and forth. All right, I'm going to put on my tour guide hat here. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are approaching Disney Springs. On the far right-hand side, you're going to see the Aerophile, and that is a balloon ride that actually takes you up 400 feet up into the air. It was custom built for Disney by a Paris company, and that's called the Aerophile SA, and it is filled with 210,000 cubic feet of helium and ascends all the way up to 400 feet and can hold up to 29 people. Now, what's crazy about that is that, first off, I'm a chicken, so I have never been on it, but it looks amazing. My suggestion is if you are interested in doing it, look on Groupon, because sometimes they've offered deals. You just have to change the city instead of wherever you live, change it to Orlando. But it is, I can only imagine. I've seen lots of photos from it, and beautiful 360-degree views of the entire Walt Disney Resort down in Florida. Looks amazing. Now, the other things you're going to see on this as we kind of ascend into Disney Springs, on the far right-hand side, there's a white building, and that is where they actually do the Cirque du Soleil, and they have the new version of it called Drawn to Life. If you're going to go to that, you might get tickets day of. It's been iffy, so if you're really thinking about it, book early so that you know you've got it set and you're ready to go. You could make a really fun night of it, like go to dinner downtown Disney and then go and see that show. You know, I haven't seen that one. I saw the predecessor to that, and it was amazing. I've seen plenty of Cirque shows out in Vegas that are also very amazing. So definitely, though, book early for that one because it will fill up. Next to that, you are going to see the House of Blues, which does do a lot of live music and concerts. So be sure to, again, look at that schedule and figure out if that's something that you are going to want to do, and book that early. Because if you don't take advantage of that early, it won't be available. It's very much like any of the Halloween parties, and unfortunately, that's kind of a downside. Other things you're going to see over there is there's a movie theater, there's the World of Coca-Cola, there is a lot of shopping. It definitely feels much more like some of those other outlet malls in Orlando now. Back in the day, this area used to be where they had Pleasure Island, which was a ton of fun, and I really wish they had some sort of version of that they brought back. Really miss that. It was so much fun. The one thing that we did acknowledge right away was my kids said it looked so like industrial. Like it looked just like a weird, and I'm like, that's the whole point. They wanted it to look like an industrial working, you know, area. Now, the other thing that you can do, they do have these amazing, we have them in Wisconsin as well, and basically these cars, what they can do, in Wisconsin we have them, they call them ducks. Basically they are car road ready, and then they are also able to be driven right into the water. And those are called the Amphicars, and those are 20-minute tours of the lake. Basically, it's a rare vehicle that can go on land and float in the water. Shows here on their website, they do tours from 10 a.m. till 10 p.m., weather permitting. It does cost $125 per car, and that is current prices as of September of 2022, and it can hold up 3 to 4 people. So kind of a fun, interesting thing to do. This House of Blues, amazing food. We've eaten there quite a few times, really enjoyed it. I haven't eaten at all of the restaurants downtown Disney. See, old school for me. For Disney Springs, but I've heard a lot of great things about them. For us, right now my kids are little, so we've really enjoyed more of eating in the parks. You can see that family right there is doing a fishing excursion. So if you like to fish and you want to do that, it's all catch and release, but still fun. There is a closer look at that balloon. It doesn't look like there's a lot of people on there, just a couple. But again, the views have got to be amazing. And if you're interested, definitely Google that or YouTube that and find a video, and I'm sure someone has shared that video from up there. Now, when you actually get to the dock on this boat, now remember we left Port Orleans French Quarter, so that's the New Orleans version. When you get to the dock, it is going to take you to the furthest dock to the left. So you can see there's all these amazing restaurants. Again, so if you're trying to get to Cirque and you have only a few minutes, this boat is going to take you to the farthest location from that. I kid you not, it is the farthest location. So when you get to that dock, you are going to come in on the far market side place. So you still have quite a bit to walk through past a Christmas store, etc. before you even get to, for example, like the huge Disney store. Now, again, I am old school when it comes to my downtown Disney or my Disney Springs. And this beautiful showboat right there that you see, it used to be called Fulton's. And prior to that, just a little tip, so if you're looking for some Disney trivia, one of the very first Disney character breakfasts used to be housed on that boat. I remember going, and it was the Fab Five, which was fun, but it was one of the first ones, and then they took your picture outside the boat, and then many years later, Fulton's took over that restaurant, and it had just the best seafood. Now, I haven't eaten there since it's been taken over by paddlefish, but Fulton's to me was just amazing. It was just, I remember the blue crab legs, phenomenal. And I remember the guy was like, the waiter who took care of us was like, we brought those in fresh, and they got all their fresh food daily. And one of my favorite honeymoon memories was going there for dinner twice, actually. And just a reminder, as we dock, we'll be coming in right over by the Rainforest Cafe. So it's a long walk all the way around. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. It was so much fun to kind of give you some history and take you on this fun tour of the waterways. Again, my name is Jessica Lynn. Be sure to subscribe. We'd love to have you come back. I've got a lot of Disney content coming. And then don't forget to visit my website, jessicalynoriginal.com. We'll see you all again soon. Take care.